We have the cookie dough in the baking sheet in the engine bay, close the hood, start the engine. Let's bake some cookies.
Hello internet and welcome to OBAKA, the channel that usually has something to do with anime, but this time it'll be hard to draw the connection. If you ever explored the anime side of YouTube, you might have stumbled across a family of theory channels that has a couple videos that dive deep into the background and lore of different anime franchises like Attack on Titan, Dragon Ball Z, and even Tokidoki Literature Club. Of course, I'm talking about MatPat and his holy trinity of theory channels, food theory, film theory, and game theory. One of my favorite videos comes from Food Theory, where they cooked food in the laundry dryer, which they then followed up with another video of them cooking an entire meal using only appliances found in the laundry room. That video reminded me of my favorite Christmas commercial from 10 years ago. In the commercial, produced by Mercedes-AMG, there's a race car speeding around a racetrack. At the end, the car comes to a stop and they reveal that they are baking cookies using the heat of the car's engine. However, due to the short duration of the clip and the obvious movie magic, I'm left with more questions than amazement. How was the baking tray secured over the engine covers? Did Mercedes-AMG actually attempt this? Is it possible to bake cookies using the heat of a car's engine? Today, we find out. Now, before attempting to bake cookies like in this video, we need to have two things: the engine and the heat. When it comes to the engine, since different engines produce different amounts of heat, getting the right one is important to accurately test the feat shown in this commercial. After finding the right engine, then I'll have to make sure the engine produces enough heat to actually bake the cookies. In the video, the car baking the cookies in its engine bay is a Mercedes SLS AMG GT3 race car, a purpose-built tarmac-eating monster that is way out of my budget. Hell, even the road-going version of the car, the SLS AMG, is way beyond my reach, but I may have an idea for something that would suffice. This is a W204C63, another AMG product from Mercedes. In the engine bay, we have a M156 engine, which is a naturally aspirated 6.2-liter V8, which in common terms means it's a big engine that makes big power. Furthermore, for the purposes of this test, which is to see if what was shown in the Mercedes commercial is actually possible, this M156 engine is almost perfect since it's essentially a detuned predecessor of the M159 engines that exist within the SLSs.
Now, I know you're going to point out there's a lot of videos online of people baking cookies on the dashboard, but in those experiments, their heat sources are different from ours. Let me explain.
When baking cookies on the dashboard on a hot summer's day, the heat source in this instance is the sun instead of the car itself. The car in this scenario only serves as the walls of the unorthodox oven that traps in all the heat. With normal oven baking, the primary heat source is the heating element, which is the tube-looking thing at the bottom of the oven that glows red when you're baking. These heating elements are known to be able to produce temperatures of around
1112
degrees and above. This makes an engine a suitable replacement for an oven since many of its parts, such as the headers, are known to exceed over 1000 degrees Fahrenheit as well. According to a US news article that actually explains how to bake cookies in the cabin of a vehicle, the article states, if the car's internal temperature never reaches 160 degrees, the cookies won't bake and you'll end up with warmed, partially cooked cookie dough. Thus, we need to know if the ambient temperature in the engine can sit stably over 160 degrees. This way, if the baking sheet does not heat up enough to bake the cookies through conduction, the heat in the engine bay from radiation and convection should be enough to bake the cookies anyways. To measure the temperature of the ambient air in the engine bay while driving, I bought this wireless meat thermometer. The plan is to connect the thermometer to my phone using Bluetooth, and then I can monitor the temperature from their companion app while I'm on the road. To secure the thermometer in the engine bay, I 3D modeled and printed this mount to keep the thermometer from touching any surface and having that surface temperature greatly affect the temperature reading. Without further ado, I secured the thermometer in the engine bay, the phone in the car, and set off to perform the heat test. After driving around for 5 minutes, the thermometer's companion app was already reading 148 degrees, which meant I'll have to drive around a bit longer to hit the 160 minimum I'm looking for. After another 20 minutes of wandering around, the temperature rose to 166 and didn't seem to be climbing any higher. Since this is past our required minimum temperature, from then on, my goal was to see if I could maintain this temperature of over 160 degrees for an extended period of time. So I drove around for another 40 minutes and was able to get the temp to slowly climb and hover around 180 to 188 degrees. So based on these numbers, we can conclude that with our current setup, we are able to reach our 160 degree minimum baking temperature, we can stably keep the temperature at above 160 degrees, and it takes roughly 25 to 30 minutes to get the engine bay up to that temperature.
Now that we know that the engine produces enough heat, let's move on to trying to bake cookies.
According to its directions, we're supposed to bake the cookies at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 14 minutes. Since the temperatures we hit during the heat test are way below the temp stated in the baking directions, we're going to just have to bake the cookies in the engine for a longer period of time. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. The toxic and nauseous gases from the engine bay would contaminate the cookies and make it unhealthy to eat. However, I asked my older brother about it and he said as long as I sealed it, it should be fine. And he's a nurse, so it should be safe, I hope. To create the seal, I'm going to use foil tape and cover all the openings between the foil and the baking sheet. And with that done, let's try to bake these cookies. Even before leaving my driveway, I already ran into an issue. By sealing the end of the thermometer inside the baking sheet, the thermometer could not get a signal out of the baking sheet and to my phone. I had to take the thermometer out and stab it through the top of the baking sheet so that the end of the thermometer could poke out and transmit a signal. And with that quick fix done, it's time to get out on the road and bake some cookies.
Alright, let's see what we actually have here. Damn. The cookie dough is still just cookie dough. Yeah, just really hot cookie dough. I can't even pick it up. You have to eat this with a spoon. It doesn't smell like engines though. It's just not hot enough. So this is gonna take a while.
Unfortunately, the first attempt was unsuccessful. Only the bottoms of the cookies seemed to harden and become like an actual cookie. Thus, I'm going to have to try this test again. For the second attempt, I'm going to do everything the exact same way, except this time, I'm going to increase the amount of time the cookies are in the engine bay while the temperature is above 160 degrees.
Second attempt at baking cookies in the engine bay. The engine bay just got up to temperature 165 degrees, and since this time I'm going for the add more time instead of add more heat strategy, I am probably going to drive around for about 2 hours.
It actually smells pretty good. I'm really nervous. Hey, they kind of look like cookies. And I can pick them up like cookies. Look at this.
Now for the part I'm kind of nervous for, the taste. It's not bad. Whoops. Tastes like a cookie. Yeah, it's hard on both sides, and it has a soft center. This side's pretty good.
And that proves it. The baking stunt shown in the 2012 AMG commercial is actually possible. We can bake cookies in an engine bay. It just takes a bit longer. So the next time you have to drive more than an hour, maybe stick a couple cookies under the hood to make the trip a little bit sweeter. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you want to see me cook a 3-course meal using the engine and exhaust, leave a like and comment down below. Now it's time for me to binge both seasons of 86. I've been OBAKA. I'll see you in the next one.